Welcome to the Sales and Use Tax webinar presented by the State of Connecticut Department of Revenue Services. Nice to have you with us on this Wednesday, the 16th day of October, 2024. My name is Richard Carter, and we are excited to bring you this webinar and that you've decided to spend part of your morning with us. So today's webinar is designed to help new businesses understand Connecticut taxes and certain requirements. Now, while we are here, we are going to include a live demo of MyConnect, which is our new online filing system. Plus, we will give you a brief tour of the Taxpayer Education Center, and then there will be a Q&A of the most frequently asked questions we've received through emails, phone calls, and the aforementioned MyConnect. So that's the batting order. We got Sales and Use Tax hitting leadoff, then MyConnect, Taxpayer Education Center is hitting in the hole, and the Q&A is hitting cleanup. All right, so today's webinar will go over an hour. So if you have to check out early due to another commitment, no problem. A recording of this webinar will be available on our website in about a week in the Taxpayer Education Center. Now, before we begin, one thing we recommend you do at some point, if you have not done so already, is downloading the Getting Started in Business Informational Guide, which is the IP 2018-5. Now, the Getting Started Business Guide is a fantastic resource and is broken up into 10 chapters and covers a multitude of topics. It can answer many questions you have and provide clarity on some issues. It's available on our website and can be downloaded as a PDF. Now, in order to do that, you just got to go to our website, which is located at portal.ct.gov/DRS. Now, once you're there, along the left side panel, you're going to want to click Publications. And once we've done that, we're going to want to hit Information Publications. And about halfway down, there should be prior year publications in 2018. And then we're going to land on the 2018-5. Now, if none of that works, you could just enter the Getting Started Business Guide into the search box, and it should pop up for you. Alrighty then, so before I hand things over, I'm going to give you some of our contact information in the event you have a question today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, whenever. So our numbers are 860-297-5962. You can also reach us at 1-800-382-9463. If you want to send us an email, you can certainly do that. Our email address is drs@ct.gov. If you happen to be familiar with MyConnect, you can always message us through MyConnect as well. And while we're here talking about things, let's give some love to our website. Our web address is portal.ct.gov/DRS. And yes, we are on social media. Look for us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Friend, follow, like, and subscribe, and like again if you can. All right, so we got the preliminary info out of the way. So now let's bring in our first presenter, which is Melissa Pescatelli. Melissa is the Tax Division Chief of our Taxpayer Services Division, and she's going to share some updates about the agency. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Mr. Carter, and thank you so much for that warm introduction. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the Department of Revenue Services Sales and Use Tax webinar. I am Melissa Pescatelli, the Department's Director of Taxpayer Services. We are pleased to bring you this event today, which will provide you with important state tax information that will help you succeed in running your new business. We have some very knowledgeable team members with us who will provide you with an overview of sales and use taxes, including how to set up an account on the DRS online platform, how to file and pay sales and use tax returns, how to access the Taxpayer Action Center, how to send a secure message to the department, finding important information on the DRS website, and so much more. Our experience at the department has shown that many new businesses miss the first filing and payment of sales tax due dates simply because they do not know what to do. This webinar will guide and help you to understand the sales and use tax filing and paying requirements. Having a good handle on understanding the state tax filing requirements and using the department's state-of-the-art technology is critical to your success. To that end, the department has modernized its tax administration system, making it easier than ever before for you to do business with us. Our safe and secure online platform, called MyConnect, will allow you to file returns, make payments, and manage your state tax account 24/7, anytime, day or night. It's simple to create a profile on MyConnect. After setting up a profile, you will be able to file sales and use tax returns and manage your state tax account matters 24/7, anytime, day or night. I encourage you to check out MyConnect and make the department's website a favorite on your device. This will make it easy for you to check back often for any tax updates and developments that may impact your filings. Now, with the goal of providing world-class customer service, the department's consumer information representatives are available to answer any questions that you may have with any of your tax filing or payment matters. These friendly and knowledgeable employees stand ready to assist you Monday through Friday between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. They can help with any questions that you may have, such as, how do I set up a profile? How do I change my demographic information? How can I view previously filed returns and payments using the Action Center? How do I send a web message to DRS? And where can I find updates on the Taxpayer Education Center? You can reach our consumer information staff at 860-297-5962 or 1-800-382-9463. You can also email your questions to drs@ct.gov. Again, thank you for attending our webinar this morning. Remember that the staff of the department stand ready to help and will be an important resource for your success. Now, Mr. Carter, it's back over to you.
All righty, that was Melissa Pescatelli, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Melissa. All right, so now we're going to get into the sales and use tax portion of the program. Now, sales tax can be vexing and the code can see upside down. So to help you understand it all, we have the right people for the job. So we have Chris Chimura and Heather Bro. They are both here, and now we're going to present information about sales and use tax. I believe Heather won the coin flip and has elected to start us off rather than defer. So good morning, Heather. Have it.
Good morning. Thank you for the lovely introduction. As Rhett has stated, my name is Heather Bro, and I'll be discussing the basics surrounding sales and use tax and a few key points on how to start a business in Connecticut. Now, sales tax is a trust tax that must be remitted to the state. If you are registered for sales and use tax, the business acts as an agent of the state at the point of sale. For the period in which a sale has occurred and Connecticut sales tax is collected, a business must remit the sales tax to DRS with the filing of its sales and use tax return. Now, if a sale is subject to Connecticut sales tax and is not collected at the time of the sale, the business itself then becomes liable for the sales tax charge and must remit the tax from its own funds when filing their sales and use tax return. Now, sales tax should be collected and kept separate from the operating cash of a business. You don't want to spend all your sales tax money on a vacation or some booze. Save it for the business and you will thank yourself later. So to avoid this accidental spending and as a precautionary measure, any and all sales tax collected should be deposited and housed in its own account from which to draw from when filing your sales and use tax return. Now, starting a new business brings both excitement and challenges, but it's not something to be afraid of. We're here to help you. To help you get started on the road to success with your business, DRS provides a variety of tutorials and educational resources. Most of those you can view and access right on our Taxpayer Education Center or on our new Business Resource Center, as well as much, much more. Now, businesses are required to register with DRS using our online registration application portal, MyConnect. Our new online registration process is simple, clear, and step-based. There will be a demonstration later, so stay tuned. Now, MyConnect has many great features. With MyConnect, you can obtain your Connecticut tax registration number instantly upon registering. You can file and amend returns. You can view previously filed returns. You can make payments, receive online filing reminders, access DRS correspondence specific to your business, and then you can also send and receive secure web messages. And lastly, it's mobile device friendly. Now, registering your business, you'll need to do that through MyConnect. If you're registering for a tax account that requires a fee, you must make a direct payment, which is free to do so, from your savings or checking account during the registration process. Once you have created a username and a password during the registration process, you can then log into your account to instantly obtain your Connecticut tax registration number. You can also file tax returns, make payments, view your filing history, and please note, DRS does recommend that you first register with the Connecticut Secretary of State's office to secure your business name before registering with DRS. You'll also want to obtain your employer identification number, also known as the EIN, from the IRS. And now that we've covered the basics of starting a business, I'd like to introduce Chris Chimura, who will discuss some key points on purchasing an existing business, as well as different types of business structures to choose from. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Heather. Again, I'm Chris Chimura, and I agree with Heather that MyConnect makes starting a business easier. So we're going to talk a little bit about purchasing an ongoing existing business. So the purchaser is considered the successor to the business of the seller. Now, when there's a sale of business, the sales and use tax permit does not, and I say again, does not transfer from the seller to the buyer. So if you purchase a business, you may be personally responsible for the previous owner's outstanding tax balances with DRS. What we recommend is that you complete and submit a form AU 866 90 days before the purchase is finalized. Now, this requests a tax clearance certificate for sales and use taxes or admissions and dues taxes. Now, DRS will issue a tax clearance certificate, which means that they're up to date in the taxes, or an escrow letter, which means there could be outstanding taxes within 60 days of receiving the form AU 866, which again is the request for a sales and use tax clearance certificate. Now, if the purchaser does not receive a certificate or letter, then released from any obligation to withhold from the purchase price any taxes owed and unpaid by a seller. Now, for additional information on the topic of successor liability, this can be found in the informational publication 2018-10, Successor Liability and Request for Tax Clearance Certificate. So, great place for more information if you're purchasing an existing business. Now, when you're getting started with the business, one of the first things you have to do is you got to choose your business entity. Now, there are several types of business entities to choose from. Now, these include a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a corporation, limited liability company, and limited liability partnership. Now remember, DRS cannot advise you on how to structure your business, but we recommend that you maybe consult an accountant, an attorney, or possibly an IRS authorized tax advisor. And these are commonly referred to as enrolled agents. And also, as Mr. Carter had mentioned before, the Getting Started in Business Guide is a great place to find more information on this subject. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each of the business structures. So first we have the sole proprietorship. Now this is owned and operated by one individual. So that's how we come up with sole proprietor. Now it reports income earned by the sole proprietorship on the individual tax return. And this would be due on or before April 15th. Now, with a partnership, there are two or more persons who join to carry on a trade or business. Then the income derived from or connected with Connecticut sources is subject to a tax on the business income. So for a partnership, you would file Form CT 1065 1120 SI, which is the Connecticut pass-through entity tax return. Now, this return is due on or before the 15th day of the third month after the close of its taxable year. So this would be March 15th for those with a taxable year-end date of 12/31. Now we'll talk a little about corporation. Now, a corporation is created under state law with legal existence separate and apart from the shareholders. Now, if it is federally taxed as a C corporation, you must file a Form CT 1120 with the DRS on or before the 15th day of the month following the due date of the company's corresponding federal tax return for the income year. So this would be May 15th for calendar year filers. So if not required to file a federal income tax return for the income year, the Connecticut corporation business tax return is due on or before the 15th day of the 5th month following the end of the income year. Now, a limited liability company, which would include a single member, which sometimes is referred to as LLC, is also an entity created under state law with a legal existence separate and apart from its members. Now, LLCs with income derived from or connected with Connecticut sources are subject to tax on the business income. Now, LLCs federally taxed as partnerships or S corporations must file the Form CT 1065 1120 SI by March 15th for those with a taxable year end date of 12/31. Now we'll talk a little bit about limited liability partnership. Now, a partnership may register in Connecticut as a limited liability partnership. Now, a partner of a LLP is generally not liable for any debts or obligations of the partnership or another partner or partners. LLPs are subject to a tax on their own income and must file the Form CT 1065 1120 SI on or before the 15th day of the third month after the close of its taxable year. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit about nonprofit. A nonprofit entity is any social, civil, religious, political subdivision, or educational organization that has been federally recognized, thus qualifying them to be exempt from Connecticut sales and use taxes. Now, I'd like to turn it back to Heather, who will explain some key points of the sales and use tax permit.
Thank you, Chris. Now to dive right in, who must obtain a sales and use tax permit? If you sell goods or taxable services in Connecticut, you are required by law to charge and collect Connecticut sales tax. Now, this applies to individuals, corporations, partnerships, all other business entities that will make sales in Connecticut, regardless of the number of sales made or the amount of the tax collected. Also, manufacturers and wholesalers, as well as retailers and building contractors and subcontractors, prior to providing any service, even if the services are not taxable or if the contract is with a tax-exempt entity. For more information on this topic, you can view our informational publication 2018-2, The Builder's Contractor's Guide to Sales and Use Taxes. Now, to obtain a sales and use tax permit before making any sales. So, a sales and use tax permit is needed for sales, rental, or lease of goods, sales of a taxable service, or for operating a hotel, motel, lodging house, or a bread and breakfast establishment. Now, these rules do not apply to casual sales or isolated sales, which are infrequent sales of a non-reoccurring nature made by a person not engaged in the business of selling tangible personal property or taxable services. For example, a yard sale. But to the contrary, you must obtain a permit even if you will only be making sales in Connecticut for one day at places such as a flea market, a craft show, or an antique show. And please note, the sales and use tax permit must be displayed prominently at your booth or your table. Now, when opening or operating from more than one location in Connecticut, it is important to remember that you are required to obtain a separate sales and use tax permit for each location. Now, not only must each location have its own permit, but it also must be prominently displayed to comply with state regulations. Now, you must be wondering, gee, Heather, how do I obtain a sales and use tax permit? Well, to do so, just register with DRS using our online registration application portal, MyConnect. Now, applicants must pay a $100 fee with the application to register for a sales and use tax permit. And please note there is an additional $200 fee for retail cigarette dealers' licenses if you will be selling cigarettes. There will be no charge to make a direct payment, and that direct payment will be made at the time of registration from your savings or checking account during the process. You can also pay by credit card. But what you cannot do is you cannot assign or transfer your permit. If you choose to close or discontinue your business, you must file a final sales and use tax return and return that permit for that location to DRS. DRS will impose penalties for failure to obtain or renew a seller's sales and use tax permit while continuing to conduct sales. The first day without a permit is a charge of $250, and each day that follows will be an additional charge of $100 per day. So for newly issued sales and use tax permits, please be aware that they do expire 2 years from the date that the business reports commencing sales. And as the 2-year expiration date nears, DRS will automatically begin the renewal process, providing that all required sales and use tax returns have been filed and no outstanding tax liabilities of any type are owed to DRS by the business. Now, as a new business, the filing frequency assigned to the business for reporting sales and use tax will be monthly, regardless of the number of sales. You are required to file a sales and use tax return even if no sales have occurred. Now, DRS may change the monthly filing requirement of the business to a quarterly or annual filing frequency, following a 1-year review of the sales activity from the business. So for annual filers, a sales and use tax return must be filed by January 31st each year, reporting all sales for the previous calendar year. And lastly, sales and use tax filings are due on or before the last day of the month following the end of the filing period. Now, with all of that covered, I'd like to pass things over to Chris to take it from here.
Thanks, Heather. Great job. Know so much more about sales permits now. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what sales are subject to Connecticut's sales and use taxes. Now, Connecticut sales or use tax applies to any transaction where the title to the goods being sold transfers from the seller to the buyer in Connecticut. Now, Connecticut use tax applies to any transaction where the title to the goods transfers outside of Connecticut, but the goods are intended to be used in and are brought into Connecticut. Now, the sales tax rate of 6.35% applies to the retail, sale, lease, or rental of most goods and taxable services in Connecticut. And remember, there is only one statewide sales and use tax. There are no additional sales taxes imposed by local jurisdictions in Connecticut. Now, unless specifically exempted by Connecticut general statutes, the sale of all goods and certain services in Connecticut are subject to the measure of Connecticut sales tax. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 6 special rates. Now, there is a 1%, which applies to the sale of computer and data processing services. There's 2.99% that applies to the sale of vessels, motors for vessels, and trailers used for transporting vessels. And then this is an important one for the people in the military. There's a 4.5%, which applies to the sale of a motor vehicle to a non-resident member or a member, his or her spouse jointly of the armed forces of the United States stationed on full-time active duty in the state of Connecticut. Now, if you go out to eat, you should be used to this one. It is 7.35%, which applies to meals and beverages. Then there is a 7.75%, which applies to most motor vehicles with a sales price of more than $50,000, items of jewelry, whether real or imitation, with a sales price of more than $5,000, or articles of clothing or footwear intended to be worn on or about the human body, or such things as a handbag, luggage, umbrella, wallet, or watch with a sales price of more than $1,000. And lastly, there's the 9.35%, which applies to the rental or leasing of a passenger motor vehicle with a period of 30 consecutive calendar days or less. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about use tax. Now, use tax is due when you make a taxable purchase, but do not pay Connecticut sales tax. So, use tax applies to any purchases of taxable goods and services made by business, except those purchases made for resale. Now, here's a partial list of goods and services that use tax applies to. Such things as assets such as furniture, equipment, machines, computers, office supplies, including paper, stationery items, certain publications, pre-written software, books, landscaping, vehicle repair, janitorial services, and snow removal services. So, if you have a sales tax permit, you must report business purchases on which Connecticut sales tax has not been paid. So, if you paid no sales tax because the purchase was made from an out-of-state, internet, or mail order company that did not collect tax, you're not off the hook. The use tax due is equal to the Connecticut sales tax due on the sale as if it occurred in Connecticut. Now, if another state's tax was properly paid on purchases made in that state, the use tax due is limited to the amount, if any, by which the Connecticut tax exceeds the tax already paid. So, for example, if you paid 6% to another state, then you would owe Connecticut the 0.35% tax. And remember, goods or services not subject to Connecticut sales tax are also not subject to the use tax. Now, to steal something from Mr. Carter, I'm going to bring Mr. Carter out of the bullpen. Take it from here.
Well done, Mr. Chimura. Well done. Well, thank you to both Heather and Chris. Okay, so still to come, folks, is the tour of the Taxpayer Education Center and a Q&A of the most frequently asked questions we've received. But first is a demo of My Connect. Now, this is our new online portal, which we're excited to show you because you can file tax returns, make payments, and view your filing history. It's a game changer for the department, but also its users. And here to show you all the things it can do is Randy Haraprasad. Randy is a principal examiner in our electronic filing unit. Good morning, Randy. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Good morning, everyone. My name is Randy Haraprasad, and I work here at Connecticut Revenue Services in the electronic filing. And today I'll show you how easy it is to use My Connect, how to register for your sales and use tax, and I'll show you a little bit of the new procedure for the cigarette retailer tax type. So let me get started by sharing my screen. All right, so this is our My Connect homepage. There's a couple ways that you can get here very quickly by go to Google and type in Connecticut Revenue Services, My Connect, and it will bring you right to My Connect after clicking into the hyperlink. Or you can go to portal.ct.gov/DRS. On the DRS homepage, under the most popular, the My Connect link should be there. And once you click on it, you should be able to get to My Connect. So before we get in login, I will start out by completing a CT registration application, and I'll show you how to register for the sales and use tax and how the new procedure for if you're registering for the cigarette retailer tax type. On the My Connect panel here, you can see there's a link that says new business needs CT registration number. But before I get into that, I wanted to point out that there's some helpful hyperlinks here, especially for individual income tax filers. For those of you who are using this is a very popular panel right here. You can make payments, estimated payments, extensions, look up where's my refund, a whole bunch of stuff. You can submit documents or an income tax credit documents to the department. We have some additional resources such as bulk filing and make a warrant payment and a lot of DRS publications you can visit when you have some free time. File 1099 miscellaneous and non-employee compensation, or you can view a lot of our tutorials like for assistance how to file certain tax types, how to create a username and password, or you can find submissions by not logging in. All right, we'll return back here and we'll go ahead and click on new business need a CT registration number. After I click into this, it will give you a list of different tax types that you can register for on our department website. And before I go next, so when you're completing the CT registration application, I do wanted to point out a cool feature that My Connect has to offer is called the Save Draft feature. You're in there completing your return and for some reason you don't have all the data, don't worry, your return, you're not going to lose your return if it's like, oh, if I walk away and I get timed out, or if I have to close it out, then I have to start all over again. No worries. Click the Save Draft feature, and what's going to happen, this is going to save your registration application for 30 business days. After 30 business days, the system is going to wipe it out. We will send you a notification for your email that you entered on the application, and then you will get a reminder to say, hey, Randy, you have a saved draft of your CT registration number, registration application, if you would like to go back into My Connect and complete the application, or if not, then the system will automatically wipe it out eventually. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click next, and we'll go through the application very quickly here. Reason for registering, I'm going to select requesting a Connecticut registration number. I'm going to go next, make the screen a little bigger so you can see. Probably that's better. All right, and then my account type, I'll do sole prop on this one. Enter my social here. Click next. This brings me to enter my business name. So I'll simply enter my first and last name here. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter my address. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and verify my address because that's one of the requirements to make sure that we do have a valid address in the system. And then I'll click OK. Yes, that's a valid address. home mailing address is the same, so I don't have to enter that again. And now I am on my next screen here, enter my business name. So I'm just going to enter Randy Tests. My activity is other, sales, and sales. These are just examples I'm putting in here. And then, of course, you have to do a NAICS code. So you can just, you can type in a description or a keyword. So maybe I'll just do SIG, search, and then I'll just pick one of these NAICS code here, describe your business. And then there's a lot more information, when you can read up on the NAICS code. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And this brings me to my withholding. So right now I do not have any employees, but I have my sales and my cigarette. That's what I wanted to register for. So I'm going to say yes to the sales and use tax. No for this one, no. Most of you are familiar with the registration application. So I'm going to go ahead and select my start date, which is today. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. And now I'm on the different tax types that I need to register for. As you can see, my sales and use tax already checked off. So now I'm going to check off the cigarette tobacco products. Once I click next, and I have to select over-the-counter retailer, and I select that, there's the new procedure here is in red. What you need to do is you need to register your account now, do this registration application, and then you have to follow a procedure where you have to log into My Connect, print out the info, and then submit it to your town clerk for approval. And once your town clerk give you an okay that you're all set, then you come back into the system and you pay the $200 cigarette license fee, and that's complete the process. But I'll show you throughout the way. I don't want to sit here and read all of this information for you, but whenever you have time, you can do so. So I'm just going to check this box, acknowledge that I read the above instruction. I'm going to say no to that. And then I need to enter a date of my start date for my cigarette retailer. I'm going to go ahead and click next. And now I'm the fee summary. As you can see on my screen, it's $100 for the sales and use tax registration fee, but not for the cigarette license, because that's when you pay that later by logging into My Connect after you got approved from the town clerk office. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click next now, and then I'm going to simply enter my username and password here. Randy. Enter my email. Please note the right side of the password requirements. Everything looks good. Click next. Now I create my username and password to access My Connect. Now it's going to bring me to pay the $100 for my license fee, for my sales license fee. And I can choose credit card or I can use bank account. So now I'm going to choose bank account and simply confirm my dollar amount here, which is $100. I'm going to go ahead and select direct payment, enter my routing number. And now I'm going to go ahead and enter my account number. I'm going to confirm my bank account number, checking account, and I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now I'm on my confirm submission declaration page. We ask you simply enter your name in here, and then the dates is pre-filled for you, and then we're going to go ahead and click submit. And there you go. You completed your registration application for the sales and use tax and part of the cigarette license registration. And we give you some more information here. We says, please log into your My Connect to access a copy of the notice of application for a cigarette dealer retailer license. You can find this document under the view letters link in the action center. So I'll show you that when we log in, how to get to that and how to complete the process. So you can also print a printable view for your temporary license for the sales and use tax. And this is a PDF copy, so you can print this. And as you can see here, it says temporary permit, exclude over-the-counter cigarette dealer retailer license. That's because that process is not completed. This temporary permit is only for the sales and use tax. for now. And if you scroll along, in the red again, there's a lot more wording in here to read up to give you the steps, what to do, how to complete the cigarette dealer retailer license. All right, and don't worry if let's say if you lost this copy, you can always retrieve it by going back under Find the Submission, and then you can get a copy of that PDF for your print out your temporary license. Or you can log into My Connect and go under the Submission tab, and you should be able to retrieve that as well. All right, so now I'm able to create my username and password. I'm going to click OK, and I am ready to log in. But before I log in, I do want to talk a little bit about forgetting username and password. Sometimes I created a username and password, and then I go back the next day and I forget what I created for my password or my username. So to do that, we make it very easy on My Connect for you, very friendly. You click on Forget Username and Password. Once you click on that, it's going to ask you for your username. If you forget your username, you will simply enter the email address that you provided to us, and the system will send you your username in your email inbox. Or if you forget your password, you enter the username, and the system will send you a temporary password link in your email inbox. And then you just click on the temporary link, and then you will create a new username. Okay, so hopefully we don't forget our username and password a lot. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter that username and password that I just created. Enter my username, and then I enter my password, and then I log in. So the first screen that you will get to, so we have a extra layer of security, and it's called two-step verification process. It's optional, and you can set it now, or you can go back in, a few days later, or whenever you have time, and you can, reset it again. So you can either add your phone number, or you can either add your email, or set up an authentication app. So basically, this is for a extra layer of security on your My Connect account, but you don't have to set it up. And for today's demo purposes, I'm just click on Disable, and then say, yes, I would like to disable it, but I will show you when you log in how to get back to there, and if you wanted to reactivate it again. Well, welcome to My Connect. This is how my Connect account looks. If upper left corner, you will see the name of the business. You will see the address there. Upper right side, you will see welcome. And then under Manage My Profile, I was talking earlier about the two-step verification process. As you can see, Manage two-step verification. Once you drill into this hyperlink here, you will be able to reset your two-step verification. Here you can change your password, update your email address, your name, your phone number, and all that good stuff under Manage My Profile. I'm going to return back over to the summary screen, and I'll focus a little bit more on the cigarette dealer process, cigarette license retailer process, sorry. And when we were doing the Reg 1, the instruction says log into My Connect, go to the Action Center, and as I'm in the Action Center here, you can see you have unread letters, and if you click on the View Letters, you will see a hyperlink there that says cigarette dealer / retailer permit info. Once you click into that, you should be able to see that this info right here, you will be able to print this out, and then you take this information, you complete it, and send it over to your town clerk's office for approval. Once they give you the approval and the go, then you will come back into My Connect, and then you will go into your Action Center again. And as you can see, once I click on that link, it's gone because I was able to print it and submit it to the town clerk. Now, after everything is good, you come back in here, and then you pay the $200 fee to receive your cigarette license in the mail. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on Make a Payment and File an Acknowledgement Return. I'll simply click into that. And then I'll have to acknowledge that, I was able to provide the information to the town clerk, municipality. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter the date that when that was done. So I'm going to enter that date. And then I have fixed a copy of notice application cigarette dealer retailer license, like on a piece of board or something out there on the property, and I have to acknowledge to that as well, because you're not able to move forward and for you to acknowledge to it before you're able to move forward. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter my signature, which is, technically my name. You enter your name whenever you see signature, electronic signature, you just enter your name in there, and then you click next. And that will bring you to the payment. So if you remember that earlier when we were filling out the registration application, I was able to pay the $100 only for the temporary sales license and not the cigarette fee. So now I've completed my process. I print the copy. I print the copy of the form, take it to the town clerk. The town clerk approve it. Now I come back into my Connect and I paid. Now I'm ready to pay the $200. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter my $200. I'm going to confirm it. And as if you notice that the $200 is not eligible to pay through credit card. It's only through your bank account, checking, or savings. So now I'm going to go ahead and select direct payment, enter my routing number, and confirm my account number again, checking. And we do have a feature here that says save for future use. It's really a nice feature. If you're coming in here to make sales tax every month, there's no need to sit here and enter the banking information. So you can say, yes, I would like to save for future use. So this way it makes it easier on the filing process. All right, I get a confirmation number for my new cigarette dealer retailer account fee. Everything looks good. And after that, once it processed through DRS, you should be able to receive your cigarette license in the mail. All right, now I am back on the summary screen, and we'll walk through a sales and use tax very quickly. I will show you how that can be done. Before I do that, I do wanted to talk a little bit about our More menu. In the More menu, there's a lot of things that you can get done. You can update your name, addresses, you can close accounts, reopen accounts, you can add additional accounts and locations as well. We make it so much easy for you that you can just log into My Connect and then you can just close your account without not sending a piece of mail in the mail, or just call DRS. Just click on close account and just enter a date and you're done. You get your confirmation number. You can correspond with DRS securely with messages, send a message, view messages, you can view letters, you can request a status letter for your business, or you can upload documentations to DRS. If you have a missing refund or a stolen check, you can submit a request here as well. We have a hyperlink. If you have a penalty waiver, you can do so by request a penalty waiver. You can file miscellaneous non-employee compensation, 1099s, power of attorney, and there's a lot more information. I don't want to go through each one here, but when you have some time, check it out. There's a lot of options on My Connect to help you out with your filing and paying of taxes. All right, now I'm going to return back to my summary screen and we'll walk through the sales and use tax. So you can see my sales and use tax over to the right here. You will see that it says monthly filer, and it tells me which period I'm filing, October 31st, and December 2nd is my due date for this return. So I'll simply click on File Now. And this will bring me into the select my tax rates. And earlier, my colleague, they were explaining the different tax rates. And as you can see here now, that in the sales and use tax, there are 4 types of tax rates. The 6.35, which is the general sales, which I'll be showing you today. We have the meals, 7.35, the luxury, 7.75, and the rental motor vehicles is 9.35. So I'm going to simply click on the 6.35. But let's say if you do have the general sales and you also have the meals, you can select as many as, anyone here for more than one and proceed, and then it will give you all the different options to complete the schedule. So for today's demo purposes, we're just only going to do the 6.35%. And then again, I just do want to point out the save draft feature. I know I talked about it earlier. It's a really nice tool to use if you don't have all the information and you don't want it to lose your information, you just click on the save draft feature and then you can return anytime to complete within the 30 business days. All right, so line 1 on the return line item, gross receipts for sales of goods. I'm going to simply enter a dollar amount in here, and then I scroll down. And the nice thing about most of our returns on MyConnect and the way how we design MyConnect, you just simply enter the figures in there and we do all the calculations for you. So you don't have to sit there with a calculator and calculate, how much this comes out, how much tax is this, how much deductions. We do all that calculations for you. All right, so now I scroll down to line 7. It says, do you have any deductions to enter? And I'm going to say, yes, I do. And click next. And now on my deductions, general sales, 6.35. I'm going to simply put my cursor in here and then the pop-up with the list of all the different line deductions here, as you can see. And today I'm going to go ahead and select sales for resale, line 15. And I'm going to enter my dollar amount in there. Looks good. Click next. And now I am on my general sales summary. And as you can see, all the calculation was done for me. On line 12, I have a required, say, are you claiming film production credit? No. And then as you can see here on line 14, it says my tax due is $4,509. And up on the page, we also display, it says balance due, excuse me, balance due and the due date. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and click next. And now I am on my payment method here. I have the option of pay with using a bank account or credit card, or I can pay after filing. The pay after filing, if you plan on sending in your payment by ACH credit, you can do so by selecting ACH credit, pay after filing. For today, I'm going to go ahead and select bank account. Now I am on my next page. I'll select bank account and click next. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and confirm my dollar amount here. And then earlier I saved my bank account number. So, I'll simply just click on the radio button and now I click next instead of entering the banking information all over again. Now on my terms and condition, and I'll simply enter my signature here. And I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And there you go. I completed the sales filing. It's that easy. And as you can see here, I have an option for printable view. You will get a confirmation number in your email inbox, the email that you provided to us. So it's important that you provide a valid email. So a lot of correspondence go through emails to you. If you click on the printable view, PDF will open and will just give you a summary of everything that you entered on the sales and use tax, the line deductions and all the different line items here for you. If you walk away or you lose this copy, don't worry. I'll show you how to get back another copy. If I click OK, return to my summary screen, click on the More tab. Under the submission panel, start submission. You can see here the sales and use tax hyperlink is here. Once I drill into it, you will have the option to print again, and that will open up the PDF for you. I'm going to return back to my summary screen, and I'll talk a little bit about the amending return. So let's say if you file this return or you have any prior return that you would like to amend because you think that the return is incorrect or there's some changes to the return. To find the amended option, what you need to do is locate the View File, Returns and View Period Details hyperlink. And then you simply click into this, and then you will have all your different period listed here. For example, this don't have it because this is a brand new account I just created. But instead of saying View Submission, you will have a hyperlink that says Amend Return. And once you click on the Amend Return, you will have the options of making any changes on the line items and submit to confirmation. And you will get a confirmation number, and that completes your amended filing. Now I'm back to the summary screen, and that's all I have for you today. I showed you how to get into MyConnect and how to register, fill out the registration application, register for sales and use tax, the new process for the cigarette retailer, how to obtain that license, how to forget your username and password, how to retrieve that, how to get back into My Connect, log in, file a sales and use tax, and complete the process for the cigarette retailer license. That's all I have for you today, and thank you all for listening, and back to you, Mr. Carter.
I got a quick question for you. You can receive online filing reminders through MyConnect, but do you have to sign up for that, or does that come automatic with the quote-unquote service?
So it's automatic. So once you create a profile, a web profile on MyConnect, you will provide your email, and then you will start receiving correspondence. The correspondence is basically saying it reminds you 5 days for your return is due. And then after, if you pass the deadline, it gives you another reminder 15 days when your return is overdue. And there's a lot of correspondence go, and that's why I mentioned earlier, it's really crucial that you provide your valid email address to us, and this way you'll get all the important notifications from MyConnect. Good question.
All right, thank you, Randy. Job well done, as always. Okay, still to come, folks, is the Q&A with Heather and Chris, or Chris and Heather if you prefer. But first, I'm going to give you a brief tour of the DRS Taxpayer Education Center, which is halfway down on the DRS homepage, which is located at portal.ct.gov/DRS. Now, the Taxpayer Education Center was actually created through the lens of a Connecticut taxpayer, and it provides informational videos and other educational resources like registration for any upcoming webinars and new business flyers for sales tax, MyConnect info, and several other matters. And we have 2 video series out there as well. One is for Connecticut residents filing and paying Connecticut income tax, and the second series is for part year and non-residents filing and paying Connecticut income tax. Then we have videos that are specific to navigating our website, and at the very bottom you can find any previously recorded webinars, including in about a week's time this one. So if you missed something, you can go back and get some clarity. Videos are added and updated on a regular basis and provide a quick and easy way to walk through the topic being presented. Okay, that does it for the Taxpayer Education Center, and now let's just get to the heart of the matter. We've been promoting it the entire webinar, so here it is. It's a Q&A of the most frequently asked questions we've received via email, through MyConnect, and phone calls. And joining me for that is Heather and Chris, and I believe Heather, you elected to go first with the coin toss. Am I correct on that assumption?
Yes, you are.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. If the customer I am selling to claims to be tax exempt entity or claims to be a tax exempt entity, how do I know if they are, and how do I report the sale?
Well, Rit, your customer must submit the appropriate DRS exemption certificate with a copy of their IRS determination letter to you at the time of the transaction. You're going to want to retain that documentation in your files and refrain from charging the Connecticut sales tax. Then you'll report the sale as part of the gross receipts and take a corresponding subtraction in the amount of the sale on the line with the matching description, sales to charitable or religious organizations.
All right, very good. Let's bring Chris into this. Question number 2. If I sell to customers who are out of state, do I charge that state's sales tax rate and submit it to DRS when I file my sales tax returns, or do I charge Connecticut's sales tax rate?
Okay. The gross receipts from all sales are reported on the sales and use tax return for the period which the sales are made. For those that were shipped to an out-of-state customer, a corresponding subtraction, referred to as a deduction, is taken on the sales tax return on the line with the matching description, out-of-state sale of goods.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Heather, if I didn't make any money after expenses for the period, am I required to file? Do I still need to file, or do I report 0?
So the gross receipts from all sales are reported on the sales and use tax return for the period in which the sale is made. So whether a profit was realized or a loss incurred during the period has no bearing on what is reported on the sales and use tax return. So costs for expenses associated with the business are taken on the federal return of the business, not on the sales and use tax return.
Excellent. All right, Chris. If I'm selling to another business who tells me not to charge them sales tax because they will sell the goods to their customers, does my business have to pay the sales tax from its own funds because I didn't collect it?
Okay. So if a business is in the business of selling goods or services they are purchasing from you, then they must present you with a completed resale certificate for your files. Now, absent proper documentation from the purchaser claiming that they should not be charged sales tax, you must collect sales tax. If the sales is subject to sales tax, however, and it was not collected, your business must pay and remit the tax with the filing of your return.
All right, next up, Heather. I plan to sell online through a platform like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, etc., who supposedly collects the sales tax on behalf of my business. Do I still need to obtain a sales and use tax permit and file with DRS?
So, yes, the answer to that is yes. Although the marketplace facilitator, as they are referred to, will be reporting the sales tax collected on behalf of your business, you are still required to file a sales and use tax return for the business reporting the total gross receipts. A corresponding subtraction is taken in an amount representing the sales through the online platform. The net result would be zero tax due with your sales tax return.
Excellent. Mr. Chmura, welcome back. Question number 6. Yes, I closed my sales tax account for the business and now want to reopen it. Do I register all over again to get a new number with DRS? I love that question because we get it all the time.
Okay. Well, Mr. Carter, if you had created a MyConnect profile, you can reopen the closed sales tax account. When you go through the More tab, then there will be a taxpayer updates panel. And then there's a reopen a closed account link, but you will still be required to pay the $100 permit fee to reopen the account.
All right, very good. Heather, what is a trade name or DBA I often hear someone refer to?
So if you are a sole proprietorship of the name, the name of the business is your official name. So a trade name or a DBA, often called doing business as, is often chosen by the business to provide the general public with an idea of the type of service or goods that your business provides.
All right, Chris, your last question. How do I report goods and or services my business purchased but didn't pay Connecticut sales tax on?
Okay, Mr. Carter, you would report the value of the goods or services on the sales and use tax return lines that match the description goods or services purchased by the business subject to use tax. The return will process and calculate the use tax to be remitted by the business from its own funds when filing the return.
Good. And here now is the last question, and I know it's been discussed in some aspects, but just in case some folks might have missed it, Heather, what if I have forgotten my password?
Well, if you've forgotten your password, you just click the Forgot Username and Password hyperlink that's on the MyConnect homepage. Then you're going to enter your username and click the Submit button, and then an email will be sent to the email address provided that you set up when you logged on for the first time. You're going to check your email inbox for a message, and if you do not receive that email, be sure to check your junk or your spam email folder as well. So then click on the hyperlink in that email and enter the answer to your secret question to continue the password reset process. Then you're going to select next and type in the new password in the new password field, and also confirm it by typing it again. Lastly, you'll click OK and then log in with your username and your new password. That's it.
Well, thank you both to Heather and Chris. We have some lovely departing gifts for you, and thank you for joining us here today. Well, folks, that concludes our presentation, and I want to thank you for joining us and taking time out of your busy day to do so. If you happen to have any questions in the future, we can be contacted at 860-297-5962, also at 1-800-382-9463. Our email address is drs@ct.gov. Let's not forget our website, which is located at portal.ct.gov/DRS. There you could check out for tax news, DRS publications, forms, and our newsletter, Tax Topics, which was just released within the last week or so. Boy, I'm having a tough time talking today. Our next webinar actually is scheduled for December 4th, so you can check out our website for that, for the details. It will be regarding 1099s and W-2s. Our business hours are 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And on behalf of my fellow presenters, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the next webinar. So long.